into Catholicsplaining. Prepare yourself. You are about to be Catholicsplained. What are we Catholicsplaining today? Why, the Seventh Commandment. We are going through the 10 Commandments. Started on my other channel with an introduction there, the first, second, third, and I think the fourth. I don't know. But if you do not see all of them here on the Catholicsplaining, you can go find them on Miss Martin Muses, where I began Catholicsplaining, but then moved it all over here. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of a review. And first of all, welcome all of those that will be listening later, or perhaps will be listening live. Welcome to Miss Weather to Catholicsplaining, where we like to Catholicsplain the Catholic faith. It's something I like to do. I am an amateur, but I've been around the block for quite a while. I've been a Catholic for 30 years. Been quite a while. Not my whole life. I am a convert. Well, let's look at the 10 Commandments, starting, of course, with commandment number 1. I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods before me. The second commandment. What is the second commandment? You shall not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Third commandment, remember to keep holy the Lord's day. Keep holy the Sabbath. The fourth commandment, honor thy father and thy mother. And then, yay, I was able to start doing a summary here with my slideshow. I will just put this on starting with the fifth. The fifth commandment, you shall not kill. Yes, please don't. You shall not murder. Sometimes better in translation that a lot of people use. The sixth commandment, you shall not commit adultery. Yeah, we talked all about that last week and all the gory details that go along with it. But what is not a gory detail or anything gory whatsoever? It is a sentinel. He says, yes, thank you for being here, the sentinel. Thank you for being here at Catholicsplaining, where we're going to be Catholicsplaining the seventh commandment. A little later than maybe I might be doing these live streams, but I had game afternoon, so that just is something that happens. But yes, here we are. Let's see. The sixth commandment, you shall not commit adultery and everything that goes along with it. What is the seventh commandment? You shall not steal. No, stealing is bad. Stealing is wrong. Stealing is never okay. So don't do it. And is stealing sometimes maybe all right? Like, what if you're a Jean Valjean kind of situation? Well, we're going to get into that. Though technically, yes, it is still stealing. It is theft. The mitigation of it can be mitigated if there are extraordinary circumstances, but the vast majority of the time, no. It's just simple. You shall not. End of story. Goodbye. Do not pass go. You shall not steal. What does the Catechism of the Catholic Church say? 2401. And it's the seventh commandment forbids unjustly taking or keeping the goods of one's neighbor and wronging him in any way with respect to his goods. So, don't take it. Don't steal it. If it's done in violence or in harming somebody or frightening somebody and all that, it is even worse. Secular law mirrors it. Like, sometimes you'll have like robbery and then you'll have it like with a deadly weapon or something. Yeah, that's even worse if it could be worse. But in general, you shall not steal. Don't do it. Not unjustly taking someone's goods or wronging them in any way with respect to their goods. I guess vandalism might be a part of that. It commands justice and charity in the care of earthly goods and the fruits of men's labor. Justice and charity in the care of earthly goods and the fruits of men's labor. Yeah, they worked for that stuff, that money, that home, that car. For the sake of the common good, it requires respect for the universal destination of goods and respect for the right to private property. Yes, you have a right to private property. That has always been the case. Leo the 13th and Rerum Novarum addressed that because of what was going on with socialism and communism. It's like, no, people have a right to private property, and taking it away is theft. Christian life strives to order this world's goods to God and to fraternal charity. So, this is all the things that can go along with it. Of course, don't unjustly take something from somebody. Um, the right to private property, and Christians want to have fraternal charity and to order this world's goods to God. Hello, those of you coming in, thank you for being here. 2408. The seventh commandment forbids theft. That is, usurping another's property against the reasonable will. I really love this. I love the way that they are able to make it so fancy. The seventh commandment forbids theft. What is theft? Usurping another's property against the reasonable will of the owner. I wonder if there's an unreasonable will of the owner. Either way, yes, it is bad. So don't do it. Just don't do it. And in case you want to know, don't do it some more. 2454. Every manner of taking and using another's property unjustly. You see, this is what I was saying earlier. It can be justly taken, for example, in a repossession situation, or even perhaps children. Like, do children have a right to private property? Actually, not exactly. Yeah, things can be confiscated. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, that your private property can, under certain circumstances, be confiscated. Whether or not that's right or wrong is a whole other different ball game. But in general, if it's considered reasonable, it's reasonable. I think maybe that's why they say unreasonable. If anyone's a theologian, let me know. So, every manner of taking and using another's property unjustly, or using another's property unjustly, is contrary to the seventh commandment. The injustice committed requires reparation. Yes. So, if you do that, it must have reparation. The easiest thing is maybe petty theft. A kid steals a candy bar. They have to go and apologize. They have to pay it back. They have to maybe even do a little bit of community service, depending on the severity of the situation. But commutative justice requires the restitution of stolen goods. You steal something, you have to give it back. And depending on the gravity of the matter, you go to jail for it. You can even go to prison. And a little bit, this is why I'm talking about the whole Jean Valjean, Les Miserables thing. If you don't know Les Miserables, great book by Victor Hugo, turned into a musical. Musical's good. Book's always better. But Jean Valjean steals a loaf of bread because they're starving. And again, the mitigation of it. Yes, theft is always wrong, but hey, they were starving. So that might take away perhaps the gravity of the sin, but it was still theft. Him going to prison, ending up in prison for 19 years, now getting 5 years. 5 years for a loaf of bread is pretty steep. That would not maybe be considered just. However, there is a situation of justice requiring restitution of stolen goods, and that it must be paid for. You got to pay the piper. You break the law, you pay for it one way or another, and that might include going to prison. 2455. The moral law, dun dun dun, forbids acts which for commercial or totalitarian purposes lead to the enslavement of human beings or to their being bought, sold, or exchanged like merchandise. Yeah. So underneath the seventh commandment, that is considered stealing. I mean, besides a whole of the big long list of sins. Basically, we are dealing with it is theft. It is theft to do that. And I'm sorry about these gaps. I need to see if I need to fix up my microphone or something. But yes, so that is why it is wrong. It is wrong. And it is wrong. And it's a little bit more wrong. There's been a lot of people that try to rewrite history and write out the role that the church did in the abolition of slavery. No, we were against it from the beginning. We were the ones that kind of helped eradicate it. And when the quote unquote New World and all that happened, and people were thinking, well, these individuals can be enslaved. Sublimus Dei came out. It was like in 1493. Is it 1493? It was Sublimus Dei, it might be 1535. One of them. But in 1493, the Pope, he said, no, you can't enslave these people. It's bad. It's sinful. And it remains sinful. We do have it today, and that is a form of theft. You are stealing somebody's own body, for lack of a better word. Well, it isn't your body. See, this is a true situation of my body. Moral law forbids it. And people should go to prison for it. Now, Catechism also in 2456 says the dominion granted by the Creator over the mineral, vegetable, and animal resources of the universe cannot be separated from respect for moral obligations, including those towards generation to come. So what they're saying is underneath the Seventh Commandment that you need to look after the earth, you need to steward things for the generations to come. I think maybe this is where some individuals might pull it out of thin air that it might even be a mortal sin. I don't believe the gravity of the situation is, because how can we define what exactly will not be stewardship of the future generations? But yes, you need to look to the moral obligation toward you and generations to come, that we are given to this earth to protect it and to protect the resources and the goods. This is underneath the Seventh Commandment. Animals! Because we just talked a little bit about involuntary servitude. But yes, how about animals? Is this a thing? And that goes along with the Seventh Commandment? Why, it is. Animals are entrusted to man's stewardship, and he must show them kindness. They may be used to serve the just satisfaction of man's needs. Okay, so what's going on here is, first of all, animals are entrusted to our stewardship. In many cases, I think they're talking here about things like cattle and all of that, but even my little kitty cat, all right? You must show them kindness. Like, I have obligations to my cat. I got the cat. I look after the cat. I feed the cat. I make sure he goes to the vet. I make sure that he has water. That is an obligation. And animal cruelty is wrong. I mean, you must show animals kindness. Now, they may be used to serve the just satisfaction of man's needs. What that is talking about is, of course, food. All right. Just satisfaction. Yeah. So it's not sinful to use animals for food, but they must not, be wasted. And when they get their ticket to the cattle field in heaven or whatever, when they are being ready to go to the meat farm or whatever it is they do, it must be done humanely. Okay. We must show animals kindness. This is also a part of it. Let's see. Is there another? I think there's one more slide that goes along with it. The church makes a judgment about economic and social matters when the fundamental rights of the person or the salvation of souls requires. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. And this includes the economics. Why, you can really tell that they're leaning on Rerum Novarum when they were putting together the catechism. And it's no secret, it's very appropriate that Leo the 14th chose Leo the 14th in this new age of brave new world we're entering into. Okay. She, the church, is concerned with the temporal common good of men because they are ordered to the sovereign good, their ultimate end. Yeah. So when the church talks about economic justice, social justice, when it didn't become weird, like, there is actually such a thing as good social justice. Caring for the poor, not exploiting the poor, giving people a just wage, all of that. That is a matter for the church. The church can morally talk about it, and it can be sinful. Okay. That there are certain obligations. And church also goes, the catechism also goes on to talk about some of the things like, the obligation to give to the poor, all right, to help people, help them get back on their feet if they need to be on their feet. But yeah, so that's part of the obligation. But when we talk about not stealing, this is very serious because think about it. If you were to steal from somebody, this is how it's all connected. That can put someone into abject poverty. Now, the greatest extreme example would be something, again, like in Les Miserables, like what happened to Fantine, where she had nowhere to go and ended up in where she ended up. Charles Dickens talks about that a lot. Now, today in the Western world and in, most places, at least that are in my sphere, it's very difficult to find yourself in that situation because there are so many safety nets. But the poor also have an obligation to not be too prideful to accept help as well. So there's something there. But there is definitely both secular and religious safety nets in there. The church has a great history of charity, the hospitals, the sisters, monks, nuns, all those things that really served this for a very long time, and the laity are also called to do it. That comes from Jesus's obligation. But yeah, just think though, if you steal, what you're throwing this person into, what you are, the despair, the sin, just all sorts of stuff. So yeah, stealing is not just bad for its own sake, but look at the consequences of theft. And also the consequences on yourself and your soul. You have things like Breaking Bad. I know that that wasn't about money or stealing necessarily, but once you start to break those commandments, once you go down that dark road, forever will it dominate your destiny, as Master Yoda says. That it hurts your soul as well as hurting the other people, and it's just downright unjust to steal from someone. So there's different ways that you can break this commandment. A, you can just steal. Stealing does it. Boom, you've done it. You've stolen. You need to make reparations either by paying it back or going to prison or both. Or both. You might need to do both. The Sentinel says, yep. To what are you yepping? Help me out here. So you are obligated to do both, if need be. Or, I guess on a smaller sense, especially if it's a petty theft. Like I said, the whole candy bar situation, yeah, your parents might ground you, okay, to teach you that it's wrong. It's wrong to steal, wrong to take food from people. It's wrong to also to exploit people, to do predatory loans. Things like cheating at gambling, being a predatory gambler kind of a situation, that's not good either. And stealing from people's lives by enslavement, as well as other things that I just can't say because I won't, but you know what I'm talking about. That is also gravely sinful. Just wages. Just situations in the economy. Not having exploitation of any kind. Also, don't, if you will, steal from the earth. We need to care for the earth. We need to not steal from the future generations' stewardship. All right. And as far as, again, possessions, animals are okay to possess, but you need to treat them kindly. Animals aren't humans. Humans, it's always wrong. Animals, they're animals. Trust me, my cat does not know his rights. And he's perfectly happy because he's a cat. A human, total different ballgame. Like, this cat's not allowed to go outside without supervision. And dogs the same way, right? And then, of course, what did I say? I was talking a little bit about, that the church has the right to talk about justice in economics. Okay, Sentinel is clarifying. And since I've become more disciplined in my holiness, it's easier to let things go. Oh, that is true. Yeah. Easier said than done. I know. But yeah, when you practice religion regularly, it really does help. Like things like the liturgy of the hours, examination of consciences, praying the Angelus, bringing your mind to God, the rituals, the Mass. It becomes, if you will, a holy habit. Tyndall says, for example, faith without works equals no bueno. Yeah, that's the other thing. Oh, yeah. Like, for example, giving to the poor. Love covers a multitude of sins. Hmm. Absolutely. Tyndall says, so I'm parting ways with two of my rarest Star Wars figures. Aw, Jason and Jaina. Oh, Jason and Jaina Solo. They're being sold on eBay. All the money will be split and given to two local parishes I go to. Oh, well, that's cool. No, you're not obligated to do that, though. But if that's something that you choose, a sacrifice that you choose to make, well, that's great. Yeah. I always say that we as lay people aren't necessarily obligated. Now, if you were in religious life, yeah, you would. But no, you don't have to necessarily. But yeah, that's a good sacrifice to do. Yeah, you have an obligation to give to your parish, though there's certain things I think that Roman Catholics, especially in America, are reluctant to give to because of we discovered where some of that money was going. But that's another discussion for another day. Or, for example, I buy my coffee from some Carmelite monks. That's another way, because they also, it's a symbiotic relationship that we have. Um, give things like evangelization efforts like Catholic Answers, EWTN, etc. But wow, Jason and Jaina Solo. Now, those are awesome. All right, so that is the Seventh Commandment. Yeah, these ones are obviously short, but as I'm getting going on this channel and the subs are going up, and I do appreciate that. I'm hoping that people are getting things out of it and getting out of the shorts that I have been making. So I'm going to go ahead and end this party. But I hope you enjoyed this brief little live stream, and I will be fixing my microphone. Thank you, the Sentinel, for coming in, and all of those that are lurking. I see you, and we'll be watching on the replay. If you're interested in more of the Ten Commandments, obviously they are there for you to see here on this channel and also on my my current channel, my other channel, Miss Martin Muses, under the Catholicsplaining playlist. Maybe I'll be getting some more guests on here. Everyone's just really busy right now. And topics. I like the fact that some people in my community post, or at least one person I know, has done a suggestion for something to be Catholicsplained, and I will be doing that soon once I'm done with the Ten Commandments. That's the thing. I didn't want to do it. Oh, okay. He didn't want to do it about the Jason and Jaina Solo. But that pesky little voice whispering saying, "Do you really need this?" wouldn't shut up. And since I thought it was so holy I was so holy without works, I was reminded of it. If that still small voice is telling you something, well, yeah, then, that is definitely, maybe for whatever reason, the Lord might be putting that particular thing on your heart to listen to. Yeah, it happens. God bless. Yes, thank you. And I'll see what's going on with my microphone. I think it just happens every. Oh my gosh, everything's a mess. My technical issues right now, but hopefully they'll be getting better, and I'll find a way to fix this error. And again, thank you for being here, and have a great day. And be certain to. Oh, Sentinel adds, it'll be easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. That is true. You cannot take it with you. As much as you might want to, you cannot. So, yes, be certain to not steal and to be just, and keep the seventh commandment. Keep all of them. But for this week, maybe focus on that. Where to go?